Have you ever made a decision that you knew well before you even made up your mind that you were going to regret it? Well, I have, very recently, as a matter of fact. You see, normally I make larger baits like this one. That's 7.5 inches, or this one is almost 8 inches. But the other day, I was cleaning up the shop and I came across this little guy. It's a little scrap of basswood. And I was about to throw it away, but then my brain just took control and made decisions without me. So instead of a bait this big, I'm going to make one that's this big. And not only is it tiny, it's going to be incredibly detailed. Now, I'm not looking forward to this at all. Why do you ask? That's a great question, let me tell you. Because I am a big guy with big dumb hands. I don't like small things. I don't like to hold them. I don't like to work on them. I don't like to mess with anything small. Simply because I just struggle to hang on to it. I think the technical term is microphobia. I'm not really scared of it. I just don't like it. But I guess I feel like challenging myself to see if I can overcome this dislike of small things and make a hyper-realistic bluegill glide bait. I don't know if I can get it to glide when it's that small. I may have to put a lip on it or something, but it's going to be a bait, some sort of bait, 2-piece with fins and a silicone tail, and it's going to take at least a couple of months off my life. But I've officially run out of things to do while I procrastinate and put off making this bait, so here we are. We're going to see what we can do. My name's Jesse. Welcome to Freak Baits. Thanks for being here. So concern number one is exactly how thin the wood is on either side of the tail slot. Not sure what I'm going to do about that. I'm going to do something, just not sure what it is. Anyway, I've got it mostly sanded. As I suspected, this has not been fun so far, but it's okay. We're making progress. We may end up with a bait when all is said and done. Anywho, I'm going to keep sanding, and when I see you again, I will be carving the details or admitting myself to a psychiatric facility. Either way. Actually, I lied. Next, we're going to try to figure out the eye sockets. I don't even know if I have eyes this small. Yeah, I think those will work. It's about the right size. It's a little bigger than what I have in the drawing, but I think that'll be okay. So now I have to figure out how to make these eye sockets. I don't have a Forstner bit that small. Brad point bit. I think I can get that. Wait, can I do this without a drill? Maybe? Doesn't have to be very deep. It's kind of messy, but I can clean that up. Yeah, that worked. That worked. You all doubted me. I'm definitely getting some tear out, but at this point, it is what it is. I can fix it. Okay, now time for the details. We are going to give it a little bit of a super glue bath just to make sure I don't remove anything that I don't want to remove. Oops. This thing is just so hard to hang on to. It also doesn't help that my hands shake constantly. Okay, I think that side's good. Don't you? Round two.
One hour later.
You know what? I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm going to carve this side off camera because I don't think I can handle trying to get the shot and carve this at the same time. I'm already rolling the dice with it as it is, so be right back. What a stupid way to hold a knife. But hey, it works. That was close. Oopsie. No blood. Okay, we've got both sides carved. Now it's time to sand. You know, I will say that the sanding on this one isn't taking near as long as it normally does because there's a lot less area to sand. But it's also not more enjoyable than it normally is, so there's that. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired. I didn't get as far as I wanted to, but my hands hurt and my eyes hurt and I'm angry and I'm sleepy, maybe a little hungry. I'm gonna go to bed. We'll pick back up tomorrow. Okay, bye. Okay, so we've taken our already tiny bait and cut it into 2 even tinier pieces. The next thing we got to do is figure out where we're going to put our hardware. Not a lot of room to work with, so this should be interesting. I think I have an idea. We're going to grab some screw eyes and try to figure it out. See what I did there? Push too hard. Hopefully super glue will fix it, because I'm not about to start over. You're an idiot, Jesse. Here's hoping. Too much. Let's try not to glue our fingers to it. It's okay, it's not like it's a major load-bearing section of the bait, he said, fully realizing that it was a major load-bearing section of the bait. We're gonna hope for the best. I think that did it. I should probably not push down on it with a knife, so let's figure out something else. I need to screw these in a little bit more, but I think that is going to work. There's 2. Just a little bit into. I managed to do that and not completely ruin it. Chalk one up for the big dumb hands. So now we have to figure out where to put lead in this bad boy, and I'm really not sure, because it's not going to need a lot of lead. It's already going to have hooks on it. It's got all the hardware in it. I want it to float if possible, or suspend-ish, slow float, whatever you want to call it. I would even be okay with a slow sink, but what I really don't want is a fast sink. So I'm going to, kind of just judge where the center of mass of it is, which is probably right about there. Drill a hole. I think I'm going to use... Anyways, I'm going to use split shot. I thought I had some right here, but I don't. I'm going to have to go find some, because it's not going to need a lot. I'm not going to put any in the tailpiece, because where? And don't forget, I still have to add fins to this thing. I've got to cut some fins out of Lexan and figure out how to attach those. Yeah, this is... It's kind of fun, though. Not building it. The building it sucks. But the bait's kind of fun. Whee. Okay, what's our order of operations? We're going to drill a hole for the lead. Small hole. We're going to find some split shot. That's how big the hole needs to be. Figure out where our other screw eyes are going to go for hook hangers and line tie. That one's obviously going to go there, but yeah, I've got some thinking to do. I'll be back. Okay, new plan. We are actually going to make the fins next. We're going to do the fins. We're going to get those suckers on there. And then we're going to make the tail mold and the tail. And then we're going to drill holes, add hardware. Speaking complete sentences, it's fine. We're going to drill the holes and add the hardware. And then we're going to water test it. I can temporarily attach the split shot to see exactly how much weight we're going to need. I think that's going to be the best way to go about this. That'll give me the most accurate representation of what it's going to be. I'm going to shoot for it to be a little more buoyant than I want it to be, because we're also adding at least 2 clear coats to this, and paint. Paint doesn't weigh anything, but the clear coats will definitely add some weight to this. I'm hoping that if I can get it to be just a little more buoyant than I want it to be as the final product, it's going to be perfect. Hopefully. Maybe? I don't know. Let's make some fins. That's enough of that. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got fins. You know what else we have? Crippling arthritis. That was stupid difficult. I don't understand why I'm doing this still, but we're making progress. I'm going to go ahead and get these fins glued in because I'm fairly certain I started splitting the tail section in half at one point. And we're going to hope that the epoxy holds it together. Who knows? Can you see it? Can you see it yet? Ow! Well, isn't that special? Near miss. Just a graze. This polyurethane hasn't been used in a while, so I'm gonna try to open it without trying to get a camera angle on it, because I just about stabbed myself in the hand. BRB. That took far more effort and risk of bodily injury than should have been necessary, but we got it open. It's still good. Let's dip this bait and then I'm going to bed. All right, it's the next day and it is time to make the tail. Normally I would do a paintbrush tail on a normal size lure. I just prefer how that looks and I think it gives a great action to the bait. But when we're talking about something this small, I don't want to deal with a bunch of tiny paintbrush bristles. Bristles are hard enough to manage whenever they're not tiny. So we're going to go silicone for this tail. It'll give it a little more flap and maybe a little bit more action and give us a better chance of actually making this thing into a glide. Problem number one is I've never made a silicone tail before. I've barely messed with silicone molding at all. And when I have, it's not always been that successful. But we're going to give it a shot today. I think I have a good plan. I'm going to take this tail. I've got some acrylic sheet that is a little thicker than what the tail slot is, but since it's silicone, it'll be able to squeeze in there, and I think it'll hold better. So we're going to cut a tail-shaped hole out of this sheet of acrylic and then glue another sheet of acrylic underneath that hole, and then, I don't know, maybe tape the edge to where it will keep the silicone from leaking out and pour it that way. I got some silicone dye that I'm going to use to try to make the tail a brownish color. I don't know how this is going to turn out, so you get to come along with me as we discover the wonders of silicone mold making. right, I think we're set up. Moment of truth time. I'd say that worked pretty much perfectly. I had to trim the end down a little bit because even though I made it intentionally thicker than the slot, it was a little too thick. We're in business. All right. Time to figure out how to weigh this thing. Well, we don't need a whole lot of water to test the buoyancy on this one. I've not added any weight, just the hooks and split rings. I want to see what our baseline is as far as buoyancy is concerned. Let's see. Moment of truth. Okay, so it floats. That's good. Let's pop a piece of split shot into our lead hole and see how much that changes. I hope that's not too much because that's never coming out of there. Okay, so it's not quite enough, and that's all right. Okay, got another shallow hole in there and another half a piece of the same size split shot that I've used for the other two. It's number 7, I think. I had to kind of mush it down to make it fit, but it's in there. I really hope this works because I don't have anywhere else to put lead. Maybe I could use lead paint. Okay. Actually, I wish that the head were more down, but I'm also happy that it's now a slow float, and I'm still going to be adding the clear coat. I think that will get us right where we need as far as buoyancy goes. Okay, bye. All right, here we go. First action test. God, I hope it doesn't suck. Oh my gosh, I'm not angry at that action. Got a little bit of a wobble to it. It's still nose up, which I don't love. There's not much I can do about it. It's so hard to tell with something this small. You see, it almost glides. It almost glides. Like if you do a really sharp choppy, it does some stuff. Although it already is doing more than I ever thought it would. So we made some progress. I'm just not. I'm not willing to finish this bait as it is based on this action. It's just not consistent enough. And if I'm going to work this hard for something, I want it to work well. Yeah, I think we're going to add a lip just to make sure that it swims and does what it needs to do. Just a small one. It's not going to take away from the look of the bait. Yeah, let's make a lip. Actually, I take that back. I got to messing around with it a little bit off camera, and when I actually reel it, it has a pretty good swim. It's got a pretty, I mean, it's pretty subtle. It's not crazy. But I think if I can get that thing to a slow sink, I mean, that's a pretty good action, if you ask me, for something this small. I'm not mad at that. I don't hate that at all. I think that's actually a pretty good wobble to it. We won't know until we get it on a cast and have a nice long retrieve on it, what it'll do. And worst case scenario, I can always add a lip to it after it's finished. That's just a real pain in the butt and I don't want to do it, but I would rather take that chance than trying to add a lip to it now, because I want to keep this as close to a real swim bait as I can. Just tiny. Maybe not a glide, but at least a swim bait. And who knows, once it's done, we get it on a cast, maybe we'll get a little bit of a glide action out of it, who knows. But for now, I think we're going to stick with what it is, because I don't hate what it's doing right now. Change my mind, no lip. So I found that when I get to this point, I just want to focus on the painting and I kind of stop talking to the camera. So here's the voiceover that's going to go along with this paint job. But I also wanted to take the time to tell you about something very special called the Bait Boys Podcast. What is the Bait Boys Podcast, you ask? Great question, let me tell you. The Bait Boys Podcast is hosted by Anthony from Lazy Baits Co., Trevor from Peak Baits, and myself, Jesse, from Freak Baits Custom Fishing Lures. And I think the best way to explain the Bait Boys Podcast is just to show you some highlights from the first episode. Welcome to the Bait Boys Podcast.
Yeah, I think we gotta keep the group chat content off of here, though.
What? Huh?
I forgot the question.
It's bound to be awkward.
I took that 23andMe test, and they told me that I had more Neanderthal DNA than 98% of other people who took it.
Gigantic fisheye on the side of this bait.
That drained me right there. Oh, that drained me.
Where? How?
You ever try to skip a jig while also skipping a bathroom break? Not anymore. Introducing Lake Class.
Bubbles? Like, why are there bubbles?
Yeah, that's a great question.
It's a good thing to think you're an idiot when it comes to this stuff.
Lake Class.
I don't have a good answer, to be honest. I gotta give it some thought.
Lake Class.
I'm not gonna say that.
Some people would say it's not good for your mental health. And if you're still wondering what the heck this podcast is even about, don't worry, we are too. But if it looks like something you think you might enjoy, I'll leave links to the YouTube channel and the social media whatnots in the description below. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say, so I'm going to go ahead and leave you with some soft, soothing music to finish out this painting montage. Very slow sink. It does have a swim. I mean, once it gets close in, it starts to blow out a little bit, but it's really not bad at all on the swim. I don't know if you can see it on here, but this water is real dirty.
I don't want any trouble, bro.
So the action was there, it just wasn't great, and it wasn't very consistent. So I think there are a few things that we can do to this. I'm not going to do that now in this video, but you will likely see this little guy in future videos. But for right now, I need to move on to the next project, so this one's going to have to wait. But I do think that if we add a swivel to the front, that's going to help keep the nose down a little bit, and it's going to help with the action. Also, whenever I cast it, it would spin like crazy. Whenever I would try to retrieve it, it was just spinning constantly, and I think that a swivel will help with that. Hopefully, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, we're going to set this little guy aside. We'll go fishing with him whenever I can get to a place that's not super pressured. It's not a ton of people going to fish there every day. Get out on the boat, find some open water, and see what this little guy can really do with a couple of modifications. Overall, what did I learn from this experience? The making small things still sucks. Am I happy with how it turned out? Yeah, for the most part. Will I ever do anything like this again? Absolutely not. I'm not even going to try to sell this thing because I know that nobody would pay the amount of money I would need to make it worth it. So he's going to stay with me, and we're going to try to see if we can catch a fish or two on it at a later date. But that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you wouldn't mind, please Superman punch that like button and Tombstone pile drive that subscribe button. Leave a comment down below of what you want to see me build next, and we'll see you next time.